I go out and I see a tree and I see the patterns, start to decode the patterns, trying to understand what makes that pattern so interesting. And I don't think I have a super strong style. I kind of think that I'm this traveler that is like gathering pieces of fragments, recipes that I'm gonna put in on my bag and trying to mix everything together later. It's kind of like I keep digging holes. I don't know where I'm going, just digging this, and at some point okay, I found something, this is interesting. When I start to work on a piece, it's something that I kind of switch off, the brain switches off, and at some point something appears. It's never the thing that you were looking for, but it's always something else. This is where the joy comes, because it's like, oh yeah, that's so cool, this is like a new thing, I found it. Once this one is done, then the good part happens, that when I roll the dice, because the way that I work is like always open, I can go back and forth to any time. It's kind of funny because at the same point it's like super organic, but I need to follow like some strict rules so I can keep all the chain like open to change at any point. So once this system is like settled, I start trying different seeds. When this happens is where I find the joy, because it generates so many pieces, and sometimes the most interesting ones are the ones that I didn't work on it, you know? Some of the interesting ones are the ones the computer did for me.
I really liked what you had said about how when you create the artwork, your initial idea from when you start versus the outcome, it's almost like you're seeing this artwork for the first time as well.
I invite the computer to join this party and we go through together. What I allow myself is to design the system. So I designed the system and it should have all the ingredients that I'm looking for to have on the artwork. My approach is different. Usually I don't have a defined idea. I just have kind of roughly where I want to go. Genesis is the universe I've been working on. We live really far from what we are right now. There's no Earth. The Earth is gone. We didn't manage to save the planet, but we figure our way out of the challenges. In the Genesis universe, you are kind of like plants. At some point they extract the head and the heart. Then you put this inside of these machines. So these machines are prepared for us to live in these extreme conditions.
Speaking about the way that we act towards humans, we try to fit each other into this standard that it doesn't work because we aren't standard. We are very unique with our behaviors, with not only the way that we are physically, but the way that we are mentally. We see ourselves as separate from both nature and computers, but we're very much affected by each other.
In real life, there's no boundaries between anything. There's no end or beginning of anything. If you go like a molecular, there's gaps between stuff. That's why for me, I don't see the computer as a tool. I see as ourselves as well, as nature, because it's just possible to have these machines because of nature and because of how things are organized. And the most important, I think also because of the power of the mind and the ideas. Right now, it's like one idea on top of one idea on top of one idea.
Where do you think we're headed technologically with art, with creating? How are we going to perceive all of this stuff that we're building now artistically?
We have this idea of kind of retro-futuristic aesthetics. I think because things are going so fast that it's impossible to grasp. It's a part because we are already living in a sci-fi dream. It just like blurs the edges of everything. And I think it will come closer once we will be able to get inside the mind itself. So once we are able to interact directly with where we process stuff, then the whole thing is connected. And then we're gonna be something more likely like ants and bees, that we share all the resources and everything to build something that is just possible because we are all together.
It's beautiful, really. I think also as we slowly start to realize that the world in front of us physically is rife with limitations, where we can live, what we can do, we'll realize that the worlds that are being built by artists like you, it'll help to shape our viewpoint and opinion about what we have physically. It's one thing to be able to see this artwork just like on a computer or a phone. It's another thing to live within it. I love the approach that you take to the creation in the sense that each one is constantly being left open so you can revisit it. As one aspect of the art changes, so do the others.
I love to do things this way because I need to follow these strict rules to keep everything open. But what is good of this way is that I can go back and forth anytime. Basically, there's no separation between the animation and the modeling and the texturing. Of course, this is totally crazy to work this way because then everything changes every time. So you say you change the position of the arm, you see that these affect the way that the geometry it was created. So then you change the geometry, it affects how it looks. At this point in the process, I need to be super careful to listen what the artwork is telling me. It's almost like a live performance that I need to find the answer. The artwork gives me the answer.
How do you feel about this newfound connection between the artist and the collector?
It's mind-blowing in a way. The same thing that I feel, other people also feel and see value in this and want to make this happen. I see this as like the true complementary forces. So in one place you have the people that just have this drive of creating and is as beautiful as the people that get passionate about stuff. I don't think that is boundary. I think artists are collectors as well and collectors are artists. So I think these two together is just the match made by heaven,
There's so much to constantly worry about because we have to think about so much and have to, live a certain way. And it's all just influence, right? It's all just us being told to do this by somebody else who did it a certain way. At the same time, that's how you learn. You read books, you go to school, you have an upbringing. One of my favorite expressions is the more you learn, the less you know. And as you constantly open doors, there's millions of other doors behind that door. And then so on and so forth. It's very much like a fractal.
Yeah, I love this because everything you learned, you just like do this and like, this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. We're just repeating patterns all the time. Everything we live are on top of conventions. So if you take that and extrapolate, basically we're just like having these LSD trip all together and trying to figure out some stuff, but nobody knows what's going on.
Reality is a drug in and of itself, right? We've just come to normalize it as this is what it is. It's tying ourselves to a singular belief that is neither right nor wrong. So to have such a strong conviction towards it is inherently the wrong way to approach it.
I always thought that is right and wrong, and I spend too much time trying to do the right thing. So we tend to just analyze the patterns and put the patterns in some boxes. I think everything is much more fluid, and that's why I like to do my work, that everything changes, evolves and transforms, because this way that I see myself and this way I see the world. The computer is the tool to measure and to keep and to save and to enhance and to expand the mind,